Hey guys, Illustrial here, welcome to our latest video. Today we've got something a bit special for you. On the 26th and 27th of February, myself and Nathan were down in Cambridge visiting Jagex headquarters. During our visit we had the opportunity to do a live radio show with ModMark, which we managed to record and have now uploaded for you to listen to again. But unfortunately the recording did glitch up at times, so the recording is missing a start and a finish, but we've still managed to record and successfully upload most of the recording for you to listen to here. If you want to hear more of this type of thing though, then please do give the video a thumbs up and let us know what you think in the comments, as it was really kind of ModMark to take time out of his busy day to talk to us. But without further ado, here is the bulk of the interview. ModMark.
Hello.
And we're going to go straight in with a couple more of your questions. We'll do your shouts in a few minutes time, so keep those coming in. But we've got a couple more questions here. Our first one comes from RZ Cookie, asks, ModMark, will there ever be any kind of resting in RS07? I don't want it, but many people have asked in FCs.
Resting... I'm not sure. What do you mean exactly by resting? I would say writing again. What do you think he means?
Right-clicking your run to restore run energy at a quicker rate.
What you mean, like sitting, like
I
sitting
assume
on the
that's
floor?
what I mean, yeah.
I don't know. We could potentially add something like that. I mean, this whole vote thing, really, you know, if we can get up to 500k, ultimately, if we can get up to 750k, then we can give a bigger, a dedicated development team to support the products. And the plan would be that we'd sort of check out the forums, we'd work out the things that people most want to happen, and then we'd do a poll or some kind of vote on it, and we'd let people decide what they wanted, what they didn't want. I know that a lot of people just want 2007 to stay as it is. They don't want to see any changes, so they'll have the ability to say no. So really it depends what the community want, but also it depends on where we get to with the vote.
Which does lead me on to a question from GeoBoy1. Do you think we will hit 500,000?
That's really up to you guys. It's up to you guys, the players, you know. We are currently letting as many people know as we can. We've emailed everybody. I'm sure you've seen emails from Jagex about the servers. So, you know, we're doing everything we can. We've been contacting our fan sites, you know. But if you know anyone that used to play RuneScape, you need to. It's up to you. You've got to let them know what's going on. Give them the chance to vote. You know, let your friends know. You know, you guys have got much better contact with the community and the Laps community and your friends, arguably, than we have. Particularly if they never gave us their email address. So, you know, I hope very much that we hit 750. I'd really like to think that we can hit 500k. But in order to do that, you know, we need you to help us.
So yeah, if you haven't voted already, big button on the RuneScape homepage says vote here or something along those lines. So make sure you do it if you haven't already, and make sure you tell all your friends to do that as well. Next question comes from Spellcaster.
Cool name.
With an A at the end.
So. Oh, gangster. He's a gangster Spellcaster. Summon.
They ask.
Bling.
Spellcaster. Love it. Okay, they ask, will construction become available in 2007 servers?
I hope so, yeah. There are some pieces of content that we just locked down because they weren't functioning in the way that we wanted them to, or there was just some bugs that we couldn't fix in time. Ultimately, we want to add construction, and as soon as we get the bugs fixed, we will.
Okay.
I think there's a couple of mini-games as well which are disabled as well at the moment, so we'll be working on them too.
Okay, and a construction-related question from Quackies here. Will construction receive an update soonish, I assume, in the main game?
Yes, definitely. We are actively working on something right now to improve the way that construction works in the game. I've mentioned it a few times in a few different live streams or forum posts that we've written. We're looking at the way in which construction works with the rest of the game. We're trying to take housing away from instances that are hidden, bring construction up to the surface world. That's the main plan. And to fundamentally change the interactions with construction as well, so that it's a lot more fun and engaging. And it's actually about building houses and not just trashing tables or larders.
Yeah, that's the main way to train it at the moment, isn't
it? Yes,
so.
It is, unfortunately. Although I quite like what we did with the god statues. I thought that was a pretty good move. So, I'd like to do more of that kind of stuff. But fundamentally changing the interactions and what construction means with regards to the rest of the game, they are our biggest priorities to fixing construction.
Okay, brilliant. Gonna just go through a couple more shout-outs here. One from Mog RS, so shout to Mog, Arcala and Modmarks FC.
Yeah, hello Mog.
Ryan Hansen 12 says shout out to PVM Cutter. I'm Rubik says shout out from the Scrying Pool, so big hello to you. RS Guardian says you do a great job, Jagex, keep it up.
Thanks.
Laxus Drayar, I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, says shout out to everyone who helped bring back 07 RS. I completely agree with you on that one. I think that's it for the shouts, so back to a couple more questions, and we'll have another short break in a few minutes' time. I've lost where I was now.
Questions.
See, I've started jumping to and from the list here. Rebirth asks, will there be any holiday events in the 07 servers?
Again, same answer as before, I'm afraid. It's really up to you guys. The bigger the dev team we can get to support it, the more likely it is that we'll be able to do holiday events. I know what you're asking. Most people are asking about holiday events because they want to know about party hats, obviously. And I appreciate there's no party hats in 07 at the moment because there's no way of getting them. But really, it depends on the vote and depends on what the community wants us to do to the servers.
Okay. Claus Willem asks, Modmark, what do you exactly think of RuneScape as a player, not as a mod?
I really enjoy RuneScape. I always have. At my heart, I'm a storyteller. I like playing rich RPGs. I really enjoy the questing, and there are a few skills I've always really, really enjoyed. It's a good product. I think, particularly like the fact that no matter where I am in the world, I can find a PC, get on it and play RuneScape pretty damn quick. And I think that's part of the joy of it, really. And I think also because I've been playing for such a long time, I've got so many friends that I've made through RuneScape that have no idea that I'm a JMod. And I think I always enjoy that.
Fedek asks, can we expect the new skill soon, and any hints about it?
So we are still trying to get the first skill launched for the first half of the year. As I've mentioned to you before, it's going to be a gathering skill, so it'll be the primary way of gaining certain sorts of materials. Those materials will have a short-term use that you'll be able to do funky things with to benefit some of your other skills, but also it'll be quite closely linked to the second skill, which at the moment is penciled in for the end of the year. But don't worry, it won't be pointless to level on launch. We'll make it part of the real game. But also it will be quite closely linked into some of the narrative things that we've got going on later on in the year, which will all kick off next week.
Can't wait. Salubrious asks, any idea if Jagex is attending the MCM Expo this year?
I don't know. We had good fun last year, so I would hope that we would again.
I was there as well.
It was a good laugh. Yeah.
Balor asks, who's your favourite Majorat?
Who's my favourite Majorat? I quite like Jalan. Yeah, I would say Jalan.
Jalan? Okay. See, I don't really know a whole lot about the Majorat, so I couldn't really give.
I could be sarcastic and say the one with the bony face. No, I like Jalan and Azanadra.
Okay. Range to her asks, aren't you getting breeding back on EOC?
Sorry?
Are you planning on bringing
hybriding.
Yeah.
We are looking into those kind of things at the moment. We have been exploring the possibilities of armour sets which are more general in terms of their defensive abilities, but contain less negatives, so therefore are better for breeding. Those are things that we're looking at the moment.
Okay. I'm Rubik asks, could you give us some information about the signature hero Owen?
You won't have to wait long. The first Owen quest will be coming out later on in the year, and you'll get to learn all about Sir Owen. We've obviously done our Ariane and Ozan quests now, so it's just Owen to go, and that is a quest that we're working on right now.
Awesome. Claus Willem asks, what is that shadow guy who keeps appearing for me at random places?
The
I've seen him
shadowy
myself.
guy. You'll find out next week.
Next week?
Yep.
Is that what you can say?
I can't. That's all I'm going to say, I'm afraid. Honestly, it's amazing.
I really can't wait for it. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, I hope it justifies all the bigging up that we've been doing about it, because, it's one of the most fun projects that I've ever worked on. But it will honestly just change the face of RuneScape forever, and the opportunities that it raises for the future are astronomical.
Has it been a lot of work, a lot of development time?
Yeah, still not as much work as Dungeoneering was, and that's still the biggest project that we've ever done. But quite a lot of work, yeah.
This is the largest quest you've done, yeah?
I wouldn't say it was the largest quest we've ever done, but in terms of its importance with the relationship to the rest of the game, 100% yes. It's definitely worthy of being a Grandmaster quest.
Okay, I'm really looking forward to it. So, looking forward to next week. Mog RS asks, can you ban me, Plox?
He's a cheeky man, that Mog, I tell ya. I'm sure he would love it if I banned him, but I wouldn't give him the satisfaction.
Why can't you ban me?
Why do you want to be banned, Mog? Where's the love, Mog? Where's the love?
How does your role differ from other JMods?
Oh, blimey. So I always describe myself as a manager of goblins. In that I don't manage any of the staff directly that are here. What I do manage is their ideas. So I will decide the kind of updates that I want to have over a sort of 18-month period, the nature of them, whether they're quests or skills, what areas of the game that they should involve, and come up with a kind of set of rules and guidelines that would that give the developers some structure, give the designers the idea of what they can design and the kind of restrictions to the design that they have. This year, we've really got the objectives to make sure that all the content that we're releasing is somehow linked with each other, and also is linked to the narrative that's going on. I also want to create moments in RuneScape history where players can go, I was there when this happened, I made this happen. So we want to have more content which is limited in terms of the amount of time that it exists for, and also the actions that the players perform within that content dictates the way that the world evolves, dictates the type of content that we make in the future. And that isn't through polls and things like that, that's actually through direct actions that they're making within the game, what they're choosing to do with the resources that they're gathering, the NPCs they're choosing to fight, the content they're choosing to get engaged with. And the world events is the first iteration of that dream, basically. So that kind of vision that the players are choosing how the way that the game world evolves. That's really what the world events are about, and they will be about monumentous things as well. Again, I'm sure you'll learn a lot more about that kind of thing once the content next week has been revealed.
Okay, we'll do one more question before we head off for another break. Valerie asks, will we be able to access the RuneScape lobby from our cell phones using an app in the future?
I hope so, yes.
Hope so? Okay. Yep. So we'll do a couple of shouts. I think we've got a couple knocking around here somewhere. I don't know where they've gone. That's a shame. Soulviver says phenomenal job for all the work that's been done in both servers.
Thank you very much.
And Arnuxid, I think that's correctly. RuneScape is the only game I love. If there was no RuneScape, I wouldn't learn English.
Wow, awesome. Thanks.
Okay, so we're going to head for a break now. We've got about 20 minutes left with Mod Mark, so if you have a question you want him to answer, then make sure you do send it in. We'll be back in a couple of minutes, so do not go anywhere. This is RuneRadio. Okay guys, we're back. I'm here with Mod Mark again.
Hello.
Hello. So we've got some more questions, and then we're going to be closing up the show around 5 o'clock.
Ooh.
I know. Flying by. Okay, so first question. This section is, what are your plans for the wilderness?
Well, we've got big plans for the wilderness, actually. We've got a update coming out in March, so I'll be talking about it in my behind the scenes article in a couple of days, but I'm happy to give you a bit of an exclusive. So we're adding a piece of content called the Wilderness Warbands to the Wilderness, funnily enough. This will be a group of NPCs that are searching the wilderness for something. They're not quite sure what they're looking for, but it is a source of power. It's a source of energy which they're interested in harvesting for their own gods. There are other groups of people which are basically doing rituals that are happening throughout the wilderness, and it's up to you how you decide to get involved with this ritual. You'll be able to go in there and try and disrupt what's going on, or try and get involved with what's going on. Those people that go up there that want to get involved, there will be all sorts of cool prayer and summoning XP available for you. In very quite generous helpings, so it'll be a real reason for non-PKers to be entering the wilderness. Obviously, with any updates that we add where we're encouraging non-PKers into the wilderness, there is controversy associated with that. There won't be any unique pieces of content that you can't get elsewhere, but there will be objects which will be tradable, which will be accessible via these warbands through chests and various different tents that you can ransack. So there'll be good gold piece value associated with it as well. Of course, as soon as you're in the wilderness, then you'll be attracting PKers who want to get in there for the XP, but also get in there for all the lovely loot that you're carrying. So make sure that you're capable of defending yourself when you get there. I know it's going to be controversial. I know that a lot of non-PKers aren't going to be excited that we're adding that kind of content. But I think that we've got a duty to make sure that we've got a good flow of people coming through the wilderness. And in order to get a flow of people coming through the wilderness, we need to make sure there's things on offer there that people are interested in. And that's what we're trying to do. This will be the first type of update that we're adding like that, and I've got others in mind that I would like to do later on in the year and in 2014.
So this is going to be in the BTS next month?
It certainly will. Oh, it'll be in the BTS for March, in a couple of days.
Okay, so exclusive early reveal there.
Yep, there'll be more information in the behind the scenes, and I'm sure that you'll all be asking lots of questions, but we won't be talking about that at all until the behind the scenes, and then more information in the news post associated with it.
Okay, brilliant. MogOS says, you voiced some of the characters in game. Can you demonstrate some of your favourite voices?
I could do. So the troll, at the beginning of Troll Invasion, that's me, and he's kind of like,
Trolls strong. Trolls take from weak. Take everything humans have.
That kind of thing would be like a troll voice, for example. How about that?
That was good, I like that.
I've also been Father Christmas, which is much easier. Ho, 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 ho. Etc.
Okay, well, there you have it. Anita asks, are we going to get additional bank spaces via the loyalty shop and further updates with the loyalty shop?
We are planning some updates with the loyalty shop, yes. I can't talk too much about that, but we're quite excited with the stuff that we're doing. I can't tell you too much about what it's going to involve because it's still kind of in its early days right now. But I'm sure you won't be disappointed if you're interested in the loyalty store. So keep earning those points.
Okay. Fedek asks, are you still looking on updating the smithing skill with new minerals, armors, weapons, etc.?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, anything?
Yeah, no, I'm not, and it's nothing I'm actively working on right now, but
Right.
It is something that I want to do. I'd like to get to a position where there was more unique content associated with the smithing skill. I'd also like to get to a point where people could embellish their equipment and modify it and, put little funky little things on it and change its kind of shape. So yeah, I'd like to.
Okay. Sightsee, I think I'm not good with names today, asks, will Edgeville ever be repaired seeing how it's all smoky after Dragon King attack?
You'll have to wait and see.
Ooh, okay. Charlie1 asks, what is your favourite quest?
I'm always asked this question. It changes quite a lot. I'm a real fan of the pirate storyline. I really like the pirate quest. The barrel chest when it trashed my house, that was really funny. I really enjoyed that. I also really like One Piercing Note. I also really like Goblin Commander and the World Wake quest.
Okay.
Because of course I've played it. just to get you a little bit more annoyed.
Jealous.
Yeah. Well, I've played it probably 5 times, so...
Only 5?
It's pretty cool.
Looking forward to it. X Mr. T asks, will the quest cape ever get trimmed?
See, trimmed... In what way would you like it trimmed? How would you trim a quest cape?
I assume you just put, like, blue down the sides.
Yeah, but what would you... Like,
how would you get it?
In order to get a trimmed quest cape, you have to have a 99 in another skill, right? Yeah. So, what would you need to have in order to trim the quest cape? What would the requirement be for trimming it? There you go, I'm asking you a question now.
X Mr. T, there you go.
Why would you be an X Mr. T as well? Like, why would you just want to be... surely you just want to be Mr. T, not X Mr.
T might have been taken.
Oh, I see, not X as in... Or, like, I used to be Mr. T.
No, just the letter X.
Oh, okay. I'll let you...
Is that acceptable?
Yeah. Oh, well, I was obviously about to pity him as a fool. Because that's what you do to Mr. T people.
X Mr. T people.
Yeah, exactly.
Android09 asks, hey Modmark, you are awesome. Is there any chance Jagex is going to add more FTP stuff, like more minigames, bosses, things like that?
I'm not sure. Personally, I think that for a completely free game, it's already got a huge amount of content in it. We do have some short-term plans to add some tasters of some members' content to the free game, but nothing significant.
Okay. Para5 asks, will you update the giant mole to make it worth killing? It's one of the oldest bosses yet to be updated.
I think that's another good example of a tired piece of content that we haven't really done much to. Yeah, I would like to do something with the giant mole, and it's on my list of things actually that we could do as a smaller update. Because I don't think it's a bad piece of content actually. I think it works quite nicely as a mid-level boss monster.
See, we have a recurring joke on our weekly chat show about how Quacky's the host has died to the mole several times.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I have watched people that work at Jagex die to chickens. Honest to God, people have died fighting chickens, so don't feel too bad about dying to a mole.
The mole's kind of weak.
Yeah, but not as weak as a chicken.
Well, a chicken could peck you.
Well, a mole could maul you with its giant claws.
Yeah, that's a point, you know.
It could burrow underneath you and make you fall to death. Also, it splats your camera with mud.
And it puts your light source out.
Exactly.
You don't get a chicken doing that, do you?
No. Well, there we go. Point rested.
Okay. Ollie Awesome asks, how many votes do we need for the free-to-play 07 escape? That's
750k.
Which, if you want to get that, make sure you are voting. We're at about 410,000 or so at the moment, so keep voting if you want that.
If only a small percentage of our free-to-play audience signed up to become a member to vote, you would hit that 750k easily.
There's a lot of free-to-players there.
There certainly is.
Okay, couple of shouts here. GE Cleaner says thanks for taking the time to talk to us today.
No worries. Thanks GE Cleaner for your cleaning of the GE.
It's a good clean, good job.
Yeah, it's nice and good work.
Soul Survivor says, just wanted to let Modmark know I love the God Statues update. It was awesome.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. We certainly enjoyed making it.
Yeah, it was a good piece of content. Asker, I'm not good with names. How are you actually preventing people gambling in 07 servers if we hit 500k?
Hey?
Like, are you going to stop it from happening in 07 servers?
I think any fixes that we make regarding the things like the flower games, I would want ideally to do to both games. Whether or not that would require a vote or a discussion on 07, I don't know. But certainly, as I said earlier, I'm planning on striking up a conversation with the players on the forums or whatever about this kind of thing. So whatever decisions we come to, we'll try and make sure the majority of people are happy with it.
Okay. Zhao asks, what are the new skill cape colours, if that's been decided yet?
They haven't been decided yet. Honestly, I don't know yet.
Okay. Kim asks, will you get more capes like skill capes or higher capes than the other new upcoming skill capes? So I assume, are there any plans to introduce like more capes, like skill capes?
Not currently, no. Although I'd be interested to hear your suggestions for any. So let us know. Post on the suggestions forums, or let these guys on the radio know. I'm sure they'll pass them over to us.
Of course. Okay, so we're back. Sorry about that little pause there. What would you say is the most difficult thing about your job?
That's a very good question. The most difficult thing about my job. The most difficult thing about my job is choosing the ideas not to do. Not to do. We have so many ideas. You know, I always joke and say, you know, there's 3 or 4 years worth of content in my head at any one time, or even more if you count the really, really crazy ideas. And my developers come up with so many cool ideas. We see so many cool ideas on the forums. You know, every member of staff has come up with multiple ideas at some point in their career. And it's up to me to decide which ideas that we do and which ideas that we don't do. And so, you know, I have to talk to the developers about the ideas that I just don't think will work for the product, or ideas that they've had that are kind of different from ideas that the rest of us have had. You know, it's really difficult to do that, because you're asking someone to kind of destroy something that they love. You know, if they've come up with a really cool idea and they've put time and effort into it, and it doesn't work in terms of the things that I want to add to the product, that's a really difficult thing, because it's difficult to tell someone that you don't agree with them, with the things that they want to explore, and also it's difficult because, you know, we don't have all the time in the world to make the content. So that's the most difficult thing about my job, definitely.
What's the sort of process that it goes through when, you know, finding new ideas, and how many ideas you actually end up rejecting because you can't implement them? Is there?
Well, so like I would talked a little bit earlier about the kind of beginnings of the process that we go through. So if I went to a developer and I said, right, I want to have a quest in between October and December, at the end of this year, it needs to involve high-level construction, for example. It needs to have a boss fight at the end of it. It needs to include these key characters, and it needs to explore this specific storyline. Then some developers will come back to me with 8 different ideas that fulfill those objectives, and we'll have to choose which of those 8 ideas to pursue. And the initial idea that they'll present to me will probably just be like half a page of A4, because that's really the best way to present a concept. So they can't be too complicated, and then we'll pick the elements that we like of the concepts and which ones that they kind of run with. Then after that stage, they'll take it to a full design brief, explore all the possibilities, create some prototypes, design the puzzles or the interactions on paper. Then we'll review that as well, and then it will go into development. And even through that period of time, the project can change quite a lot as we have different ideas, or there are things we realise technically we can't do. So that will kind of change as it goes along. And, you know, sometimes I'll see the same idea in different formats. You know, I've got some developers that there are just certain ideas they absolutely love, and it doesn't matter what I ask them to make. They'll always find some way to put that little idea in the project somehow. And they'll always be working on those ideas in their own spare time as well. So there are some that I've, you know, been pushing back for about 10 years, but I'm sure one day they'll make it in.
Couple more questions before we have to finish up here. Lupe123111, a lot of numbers there, asks, what is your favourite party hat colour and why? Are you a fan of party hats?
Yes and no. It's a shame that there are prestige items in the game that people can't achieve through normal methods. But I like what they represent. I like the fact that they were associated with our really early days, and it's quite nice of the fact that the way that they've kind of grown in value in that way. I would say my favourite party hat colour is black, and we have in the past in our test servers have objects which we've made ourselves, which we can use to test the game with. They don't exist in the main game, so no one will have ever seen one in the main game, but on our test servers we have had black party hats, which we've used to test the game basically. And I remember we just talked about it off the cuff like many years ago, and suddenly there was this big hoo-ha about black party hats and where they were and if they really existed in the game, and that whole thing just made me laugh quite a lot, and that's why black party hats are my favourite.
Okay, so it's just turned over to 5 o'clock here, so we are unfortunately going to need to close the show up there. We'll have a couple more shout-outs quickly. Laxus Dreyar says, "Rest in peace to those who died fighting chickens. We salute and love your sacrifice for 07."
Yes, I agree.
Okay, we'll have... I've just been told by Nathan that we have time for a couple more questions, actually. So, Tip Rickiddy asks, "What's your opinion on adding summoning to 07 servers?"
That's up to you guys. I'm not sure if that would be wholly popular.
It'd lose the old school feeling slightly.
Exactly.
But obviously, if...
maybe. It depends. To be honest with you, adding something like summoning to the 07 game would be a huge amount of work. And even with a dedicated development team, that would still be a lot of work for us to do. So, yes, we could do it. The more of you guys that vote, the more capable we would be of doing something like that.
Okay. Question from Wise Choice. Are you planning to add bonuses or higher bonuses to the milestone capes?
No.
No. Straight up no.
No.
Okay. Angel of Men says, "Will God Wars be implemented along with Dragon Boots?" I assume just the same answer. If they want content,
yes.
Then...
Yeah, God Wars, interestingly, was only like a few weeks after the build that we've managed to put together for 07 Scape, but we don't have any of our test servers in the backup files that we made, so we pretty much have to start from scratch on that one.
Right. So it'd be a lot of work, but if it's something the players wanted,
exactly,
and they got the votes, then
the power's in your hands, guys.
So a couple of suggestions for the quest cape here. Make the quest cape leak water.
You mean like the particle effect that you get on the Dungeoneering 120 cape, presumably?
Yeah, and particle effects was another suggestion from somebody there.
It could do, yeah. My question was, what would you need to do in order to get your quest cape trimmed?
Has anyone sent that in yet? I don't think so.
Too slow, see.
They're slow. What do you think, Nathan? Start at the back there.
I don't have any idea what could be needed, if I'm honest with you.
Oh, he's just sat at the back, isn't he?
These technical wizards are all the same.
Let's have a look for some more questions. If you have any more you want to send in, then please do. Shout out here from Nick Clark. Shout out to me and my brother listening in. Hi, Mod Mark.
Hi.
Where are we? Steve asks, any news or progress on voice chat in RuneScape?
Lots of progress in that pretty much everything we're working on right now is voiced in some way or another. I don't know, it's easier when we're dealing with brand new content, and it's easier when we're dealing with self-contained content, and by that I mean content that isn't sprawling all over the main game world. That works a lot better in terms of voicing. I mean, I'm sure you've noticed, you walk around our careers, you're doing something like the Ozan quests, which are fully voiced, but then you'll go and talk to an NPC in a shop and he hasn't got any voice. It's just because it's in an older area of the game. But the plan is to just voice as much as we can.
Okay, so we've got a couple of suggestions in for the trimming of the quest cape now.
Okay.
One is completing the task set.
Yep, good idea.
Another one is completing extra parts after quests, such as the after part for the Dragon Bowman quest.
That's a good idea as well. Music, unlocking the full music list was an idea I've had before.
Yep, that's another one. Hidden quests, task set, achievement diaries, town tasks, things like that. All pretty similar lines, but yeah, could be trimmed.
Okay.
Brandon 4200 asks, if we get 450 to 490,000 votes, would you accept that as 500,000?
That's not my call to make.
Okay. Okay, we're back after that little pause there. Little blip. Fedek asks, is the Wild Wakes fully voiced?
Some of it is. It's not fully voiced, no.
Only some of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There are a couple of moments. We'll put it that way.
The more kind of intense and
Yeah.
important moments of voice.
Yeah.
But just general dialogue. And...
No.
let's have a look. See, Nathan's not approving these shouts here, so I can't see them.
Just make them up. Shout out to the Tweedledum Massive.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to Yoda. Shout out you must. Yes.
You have a brilliant Yoda impression.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Oh god.
Sorry.
I'm losing it now.
I just got an awesome bathrobe. It's an R2-D2 bathrobe. It's proper cool. On the back, it's got all like R2-D2 panels, and the hood for the robe is like an R2-D2 head. It's pretty cool. Anyway, I'll distract you there with my Star Wars references.
The Vigorer asks, what is going on with summoning at the moment and with the higher end of familiars, especially the Steel Titan nerf?
That's a very good question. We were experiencing some problems with our summoning creatures, and we realised that our Steel Titans were too powerful with their damage dealing capacities. They're always supposed to be a bonus rather than a must-have, and then we've just gone a little bit too far with them. We're working on an improvement to summoning right now that would improve all the creatures, but on the short term we felt we had to do something about the Steel Titan.
And unfortunately that's where our recording did stop, so you didn't actually get to hear the end of that question or the end of the recording. But once again we'd like to thank Modmark and Jagex for letting us hold this interview here. And once again, if you have enjoyed it and you want us to do more of this type of thing, then please do show the video some love and give it a thumbs up, and also let us know what you think in the comments. So until next time guys, we'll see you later.